Redwood, California. Laughing over there is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber. Behind an incredible Argentina background, you know him as Pro GK Academy, Omar Zeenni. And the reason that we have that lovely background is because we have the one and only Essendon Royals and Argentina goalkeeper, Gabriela Garton, or Gaby Garton, as you like to call her. What is up, Gabby? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Michael. It's good to be here. Good to be in the presence of such a great group as well. And I mean, for me, the 99ers were what inspired me to keep playing. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to be on a panel as well with you, Saskia. So great to be here.
I love watching you play. Trust me. So back at
and
you.
Then, now, Omar, you know, you just mentioned that you watch Omar's channel. So I'm guessing the next thing you're going to say is like, Michael, I'm a big fan of your comedy album. I've got it on my Spotify right now. It's the only hour I listen to of stand-up comedy. I figured that's the direction we were going to go with that. Honestly, Gabby, we're really excited to have you on. We're going to getting into the topic in a few minutes, which is going to be bringing your training habits, you know, into your coaching. But before we get into that, you know, for some of the people out there who might not be familiar with your path, your journey, you know, from playing here in the United States in college, then, you know, going over to obviously to play in Argentina and now in Australia and all of that. Why don't you kind of sum up how all this craziness happened?
That's a long story. Yeah, yeah. So I grew up. I was born in Minnesota. Very quickly moved to Florida when I was about 5. So pretty much I'm Floridian, I guess. If anyone can really be Floridian, I don't know if that's really a thing, but yeah, so it can be. My mom is from Argentina, so that's why there's the Argentine connection there. And yeah, I grew up pretty quickly, I don't know if it's the same experience that you all have had as well, but kind of, I don't know that anyone really chooses to be a goalkeeper. It's kind of like the goal chooses you. That's what I felt anyway. It was like, yeah, I mean, you're all right with your feet, but you know, you're pretty tall, you're pretty good with your hands. I played tennis and I played American football whenever I could with my buddies at school. Played baseball, what else did I play? Tried playing basketball, wasn't very great at it.
Oh my God, we have like the same background.
Yeah, and it's like you and not only did she like look up to the 99ers, but she apparently also looked up exactly your background and your upbringing and said,
yeah,
you know what, I'm going to
throw
replicate
swimming
that.
And lacrosse in there and we're all good.
No, we didn't have lacrosse and like there were some teams in Florida, but it was more on like the East Coast I guess it would have been the East Coast. So I was on the West Coast of Florida. So we didn't have the chance to play lacrosse, but I did get to play at camp a couple times, and that was really fun. And swimming, I was terrible. It was more like trying not to drown. So
that's all right. I played baseball too, not softball. So
yeah. Well, I ended up playing softball in high school because I didn't have the option of playing baseball, and I got like probably what happened to you after about 13 years old. Like you didn't really have the chance to keep going with it, but I liked baseball a lot.
Omar, did you play baseball?
No, I never did.
Okay.
It's like the one sport. I mean, I tried. I threw our basketball and soccer. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm horrible at basketball.
I'm with you right there. Yeah, pretty scary thing to watch. But yeah, I just grew up in Sarasota, Florida. Played at my local club team. I don't know. Once I got into goals, though, it was. I'm saying goals like they say here in Australia. It's so weird. You go in goals. You don't go in goals.
Wait, they say goals? They say you're going in the goals?
Like, yeah, I'm just covering one as far as I know, but sure, I'll go with that.
Well, we had an Australian coach on last week. Well, not Australian, he's a UK coach, but he's based in Australia. And like every activity was with multiple goals. So maybe that's just the way Australian training is. Like
getting the goals. I'd be like, which one?
Goals. I'm not sure. I mean, it's the same thing that always happens when you go into small-sided games that they give the teams, and then you're like, the goalkeepers are like,
yeah.
Where are we going? Like, they always forget about us. In goal. They're like, okay. Let's see. So club. I mean, I don't know how much you want me to go into detail about this.
I mean, you don't have to go into a 4-minute dissertation. We've had that happen before. We're like, dude, we literally, I'm not kidding you, Gabby. I said that to this poor 18-year-old kid. And I was like, oh, so just tell us a little bit about how this all ended up. And he started from like literally when he was born all the way up to like him signing with his MLS team.
It's kind of like, I was like, Omar tell a story.
Don't worry, nothing editing can't do. I'm sorry for people that are watching live because you got to watch to hear the whole thing. But people who are catching up to it later on will be happy to know it's a 4-minute story turned into a 1-minute story. Magic of editing.
I think the cool thing, Gabby, is that, again, we talked about the dual national thing, and I did the same thing as yourself. My mother is Venezuelan. I was actually born in Venezuela, and I went to Venezuela to go represent Venezuela, mainly because the United States would have nothing to do with me. That was one of the reasons that I made that decision. No. Honestly, I wanted free vacation. That's why I went down there. Anyway, I probably was a little bit different for you, obviously, since you ended up in a World Cup and all of that. But like, was it something like where you got scouted by Argentina, or did you pursue it yourself?
Oh, we skipped over.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess we did.
That's kind of like the key, I guess. So, yeah, I think coming from a small town and just the way that like recruiting works, my parents never really, they supported me in my playing and everything, but for them it was never really a priority. So like when I had the chance to play at a bigger club in Florida, which was like the Tampa region, my parents said no because they didn't want to be driving me, an hour and a half each way. So my entry into college is a bit strange. It just almost happened. One of the University of South Florida goalkeeper coach came down for a camp that they were running in Sarasota, and my the high school boys coach at my school, because I train with the boys as well, he was like, Gabby, you got to come down here. The women's soccer coach, or the goalkeeper coach from USF, is here for a camp. Come train. And so I did. I went train. They're like, yeah, we definitely would love to have you come. And it was like very last minute. It was the summer between my junior and senior year, and so I had some interest from other smaller schools, but decided to go with USF, where I was there for 2 years while they were still in the Big East. So I have no idea what conference USF is in right now. I have no idea so I don't know. Anyway, 2 years at USF, and I don't know, it was at a point where wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes. The goalkeeper that I had in front of me was quite good. She was a junior when I got there, so the idea was after she graduated, probably was going to be taking over, and then started to think more in terms of academics as my priority. So the opportunity came about I started looking to transfer. Was looking at some Ivy League schools, and then also Rice University in Texas, which was last on my list until I visited, and I was like, this place is amazing, and I loved it. So transferred there. They offered
Valhalla. Valhalla's the bar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the grad pub. Yeah, I actually never went. But that's funny
learn something new every day. I'm just waiting for Omar to drop some Rice Owls knowledge.
How do I know that? I used to coach Soccer Plus there every summer. And me and Bill Steffen, what's up, Bill Steffen? Me and Bill Steffen used to go to Valhalla after the kiddos went to bed.
That's awesome. Yeah, wow, small world. Yeah.
Of course, I know where the bar is at every campus. Go ahead.
Isn't it like it's below one of the biochem? That's why I used to take biochem. One of the
every goalkeeper's so smart, Omar. Have you noticed that? They're all like biochem, like neuroscience.
No, but
engineers.
it's like below. It's like a dungeon.
It's below a lecture hall. Yeah. I don't know. I never went, but yeah, I heard that they had some. Like the grad students had a lot of fun there. There were almost as many grad students as undergrad students at Rice, so that's kind of why I think. But so while I was at Rice, I was going into I guess I got there as a junior, and the goalkeeper coach was like, there's actually a half Argentinian who's going to be coming in as a freshman next year, and she's played with the youth national teams in Argentina. He's like, we could definitely make contact there with the national team. And so that's kind of how it came about. Just started talking to the head coach, and he was like, yes, we'd love to have you come down for a trial. They were prepping for it would have been in 2011. So they were prepping for the Pan American Games, which are going to be in Mexico, in Guadalajara, I think. And so I went, and it was interesting. It was very different from what I had seen in college. I was about to call it uni as well. These Aussies are rubbing off on me.
How so? Like Omar said, how it was like so different back then? And when you were in Mexico, they were doing stuff that now is more forward moving here, but like how so is it different?
I wish it were a positive way. It was different. I was blown away that there were girls on the national team that had their boots stitched together because they couldn't afford to have a new pair. That everyone's gloves were worn down to nothing, that the clothes that they had on the national team were, 3 sizes too big, that they had to go. It was all
from the men.
Yeah, of course, hand-me-downs from the men. So things that like your generation went through probably, but we're talking, 10, 20 years later, and this was still going on. And I was like, well, this is the national team. Like, can you imagine what the rest is like? And so it was kind of, for me, an eye-opening experience. Not kind of, it was an eye-opening experience. It was like, wow, what I thought was a relatively normal, like, experience growing up as a player in the US is not normal around the world for most young women. Like, the girls that I was playing with, they would tell me as well, they were telling me about the local league and the struggles that they had, never knowing if they were going to play one weekend or the next, because the whole weekend could get suspended games because, I don't know, one referee didn't show up to one match, because then they couldn't just make up one match. They had to make up all the matches. I don't know, a lot of kind of sexist abuse and other things that they went through just to be able to play, because in Argentina, football is like it's a man's sport still. I mean, it's changing a lot. And I think that experience was kind of like what drew me there to say, maybe I would actually want to keep playing after college, because I wasn't thinking I was going to continue on. It was the chance to continue with the national team that kind of drew me back, but also this curiosity is to see, like, why is their experience so different from mine? And even though I took biochem in uni at college, stupid Aussies. No, I'm sorry. Don't maybe leave that out there. No, they're awesome.
All your teammates who are like watching this right now are like, I don't know about her tomorrow.
I don't know. It's
she has to cover all the goals.
Yeah, right, all the goals. Back and forth. I ended up actually doing Hispanic studies as my major at Rice, and then after I graduated, moved to Argentina. I was playing at River Plate, and also continuing, like, kind of in touch with the national team, but they were pretty much on hold. Like, they played the Pan American Games, and they didn't have another competition until, like, I think it was 2014. And
jeez,
yeah, a lot of stopping and starting.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing I want to say though, I mean, like, obviously all three of us have covered it, the kind of the growth of the game in South America on the women's side in the last few years. And I want to say, Gabby, honestly, you guys really, I would say you guys made your country proud for sure in the 2019 World Cup. I think you guys, I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected a lot out of Argentina. And I think you guys really surprised a lot of people with the level of play that you guys showcased out there.
You're talking about, Mike. They were the winners in my bracket. I lost a lot of money because of that.
Okay.
I was cheering for him.
Oh my God, there's more research before putting your bracket together.
No, I just I had that much faith. I knew one day we'd cross paths, and I wanted to make sure that I had that in my story. But hey, next year.
Yeah.
Well, what's really cool, Gabby, is like kind of, what you've been talking about in regards to all these different experiences you've had. It kind of brings a little bit of a different flair to your coaching as a current player than a lot of other people who might have just come through the traditional United States background, played in college, maybe played in NWSL, and then just decided to get into coaching. One of the reasons I really wanted to have you on is because you've decided to start, your coaching journey while you're still playing. And one of the really cool things is that you're actually working with the youth academy at your current club. So kind of in your own words, kind of like, what do you consider training? What are training habits in your opinion, and how do they represent who you are as a player and as a coach?
Cool. Yeah, this question is one that I was giving a bit of thought to. I think it's something that you don't really think about until someone actually asks you about it. I think it's something that kind of over time you kind of develop how you go about training as well. I think training habits is getting in obviously habit is something that you do repetitively. It's something that becomes part of you. So how you approach training in terms of, could be your attitude. It could be the way that you approach it in terms of your focus as well. I think in my case, I see training habits as a way to, I don't know, sometimes this is almost like a harder question than sometimes when they're asking me things in sociology, but like something that
don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too serious. Don't take it too
Yeah.
seriously. Don't worry. Saskia and Omar can throw something in real quickly that's very witty and sharp, and this is not a chemistry
You're the
class.
comedian.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like it's just the way that you approach things like on a daily basis, and that making training like such a part of the way that that you do life, kind of. I don't know, for me it's like training has become such a part of my life that it's, I don't know, you can have like good and bad days, but you know that you're always going to give everything that you have on that day at the session. I think that for me is like effort is definitely something that is not a non-negotiable. If you come to training, be ready to work. And I think one thing that maybe you might, speaking about the different contexts, I think that having that experience in Argentina and seeing kind of the difference between the way they would approach training and to the US is to where it kind of, I don't know, growing up, I felt like if you didn't leave a training session completely exhausted, dead, it was a waste of a session, right? And in Argentina, I kind of learned that you can actually have some really great sessions that are more mentally focused, more positional based, more tactical, and come away with almost more than leaving just completely exhausted. So I kind of learned about that balance between obviously the physical exertion, but also the mental exertion as being part of training, and then also the enjoyment. Like I think you have to enjoy training for people to want to come back on a normal basis. So I think games and making it, you know, more more fun is a key part of it.
I just feel like you were like in my session today. No, and I agree with you 100%. Like, and I've said this before, like today, like I have to tell the keepers, it's not fitness. Like, you know, like we're going through something and we're working on a sequence of something, and everything is 1,000 miles an hour. And I'm like, all right, I stopped everybody. I go, did I see this as fitness? Is this pressure training? I was like focus on each individual task. Like, you know, I didn't say like you had to get from here to here, like 1,000 miles an hour and this and that and that. I said, you know, here you're working on your distribution, here you're working, you know, on a collapse dive, you know, and you're moving around like this zone. And it was like, I had to stop everybody. And I'm just like, everybody needs to take a breath. Like, I'm tired watching you. And that's not the focus here. And I learned that in Japan. Like the same thing, like not every practice, although really long, not every practice was 100 miles an hour. And, you know, I come from the same cloth here, especially with the national team, that like if you didn't leave totally exhausted, you did something wrong. And so, you know, but being in Japan, and obviously they've won a World Cup, so they know what they're doing. They, you know, we slowed things down. We slowed it down and focused. It's okay to do that, to you know?
Yeah, I think one of the things, you know, I want to bring up with Omar right here is that, you know, as yourself as a private educator, sometimes it's very difficult because, you know, you have parents and they're just like, well, wait a second, what did we just pay for? He just spent an hour with here and he looks like he's ready to eat a pizza. Like he feels like he doesn't seem like it's like puking on the ground type of a thing, you know? So is that a balancing act kind of where like you have to kind of like balance, like, look, you're bringing, you know, your child here or your young goalkeeper here because you want them to learn skill sets of being a goalkeeper. You're not bringing them here because you want me to perform calisthenics with them, right, Omar?
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of, I guess, being an organized coach is having those ready to go when a parent, you know, contests or tries. Even a young kid will be like, hey, you know, I really want to be worked harder. I had a young kid tell me, hey, coach, it's okay if you yell at me from time to time. I really do. Like, I think I do better because of it. And I'm like, well, that's just not really my style. But hey, okay, I'll respect that. But for me, it's more like if you're intentional and deliberate as a coach with your session planning. So for me, I'll have a young kid and we'll do a session. And then probably like, you know, 10 minutes out of the session, we'll be sitting there watching the footage. Like they're getting water. It's like a functional time. I'll sit down with them and I'll say, look, what did you just see right here? We're going to go back in there, but I want you to tell me, what are you seeing? Oh, coach, I'm dropping my knee a little too quickly and I'm defaulting too fast. So now our terminology, because we've spent time watching film together, our terminology is similar. So now I can coach on the fly. So sometimes slowing things down to get that language and that verbiage between you and the player is important, so that when you are training and things do speed up, you can coach on the fly and not have to stop every little thing to explain it. So I think if you really can be smart about your time and allot per session, a functional session or functional time to watch film within the session, later on, it'll really be a benefactor because of it. So I think that's the beauty of that. And I think coaches as well, you need to be very deliberate in that. You can't just kind of be like, oh, I stumbled upon that time to do functional training and then I figured it out later on. It's more of like, no. During the session, you should probably say, you know what? They're going to benefit more if I sit down with them for about a minute or two, maybe 3-4 minutes. And then from there, we can get back on the field and really start applying everything we're talking about.
Yeah. You know, Gaby, as you've kind of started coaching right now, you know, with the youth academy and everything like that, have you found that, you know, it's difficult as having that coming from that playing mentality of kind of, you know, everything is kind of dictated for you or presented for you, and now you're the one kind of presenting, that sometimes you kind of get that deer in the headlights moment where you're like, oh my God, am I going too slow? Am I going too fast type of a thing? And you kind of have to, you know, kind of wait and like make sure, like, are they connecting? Am I not connecting? What am I doing? Yeah,
I find that especially with the youngest ones, because I've run like some sessions more as like a voluntary, like giving somebody a hand, like another goalkeeper coach, or helping out with a local team that's like, well, would you mind coming and running a session? That's fine. But it's different when you're working with them week to week, and especially the ones who are like under 10. For me, that's a big challenge, because it does have to be, you have to make things, I guess, relatively basic and understandable, but also like the fun aspect is so big in it because you want to keep them concentrated and engaged. And there were some days where I had like 13 keepers that were all under the age of 11, 10, 11. I was like, oh my god.
We've all been there.
That's called daycare.
Yeah, I was like, good grief. And then, you know, you might have a good number of them that want to work, that want to train, be engaged. And then you might have those one or two that are just making your life impossible. So it's kind of also figuring out, okay, well, I don't really want to, like, I'm not a big fan of punishment. I never was, as well as a player, like punishing kids. But if you have a kid that's taking away from the time of the others, it's like, well, how do you deal with that? For me, that was one of the biggest challenges. And then, yeah, going from having everything kind of served to you to thinking through sessions. I think even as a player though, like I always kind of analyzed or thought about what we were doing, like why we were doing certain drills, which is I think why some coaches might not have liked me very much, because I always think like, what's the purpose behind this exercise? Like, why are we doing this? But obviously when you have a good coach, I think that your ability to explain why makes you a good coach as well. So I think that having a purpose behind each drill, each exercise that you do is important. Being able to explain that to your athletes, I think is key. So yeah, it has been a bit of a challenge. I think just kind of finding that rhythm and gaining confidence in what you're doing and continuing. Obviously, I think it's a constant process, probably just like goalkeeping. I think coaching is probably similar in that regard, that you're always learning. And I don't know, here I've been trying to surround myself with good goalkeeper coaches who I've been able to work with so far, and learning from them as well, asking them questions, getting feedback. I think for me, that's been huge. So.
I think, you know, that's one of the things that I think has been really impressive, you know, in regards to, and I know, and I'm, you know, I hope this is taken as a compliment with Saskia, you know, is like, she says it all the time. She's like, you know, I won a World Cup and I'm still learning, you know, and I'm going to keep surrounding myself with people that are in the know, maybe even 30 under 30, you know, coaches like Omar Zeenni, and just keep learning and learning and learning, because it's kind of like that humbleness. No, but it is that humbleness, though, to kind of know that. And I think that's a problem that a lot of players have when they come into coaching, Saskia, is that, especially if they've had a high playing background, is that like, it's a very different animal, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of my players was doing some coaching this summer, I was like, oh my God, you have to help me set up sessions, but here's somebody that was very confident when we're in practice, and it's like, but to see it from a different perspective and a different angle, and to put something together to try to get out of a player what you need to get out. And I get it wrong plenty of times too, but it is a different, and it takes time, and it takes education and watching other coaches that you believe in, and you have the same philosophy as you, and and you have to be humble in that. It's ridiculous. I'm not like Omar walking in thinking I'm the greatest goalkeeper coach in the world. Sorry, it was just set up for that. But again, you were able to, Gabby, is to play in Argentina and learn a different style there. And now you're in Australia. Sorry. And
you were making an emphatic moment about Australia.
It was my phone. And now you get to learn that style as well. And so that will just make you, and you were in America. And so that'll just make you a better goalkeeper coach, period. To bring in all those different styles, like when we were talking to Juan and stuff, and like he has, the beach soccer, and he has that, and that adds something different to the way he trains goalkeepers. Every little bit you find your philosophy and you find your path, and that just will make you a great coach, period.
I think
I will go ahead, Omar.
No, but I think kind of like just kind of reading over the notes, talking about like bringing us as, who we are as people, those training habits that we had as players, how has that impacted your coaching? And I think, for example, like for me growing up, I knew that diet or, nutrition was going to be extremely important, but I never necessarily, I knew what the answer was, but I didn't have the discipline to really go into it. And at the same time too, like I love sessions that were game related. I didn't really like technical stuff. I like to just be a goalkeeper and get into goal and make reaction saves. And so, those were my habits. And then as I got from there to, transitioning to coaching, the mindset went like, okay, well, not everyone is like me. Not everyone wants to get, crazy amount of work in or have an intense rate. Because for me, as one of my ex-girlfriends once told me, she said, Omar, ex, she says, but she was, we're still friends. But she says, Omar, she says, you work out because you eat. I eat because I work out. And that like blew my mind. I was like, that's so true, because I like to
your
get
calories in, calories out. She's calories out, calories in.
Yes, exactly. So for me, I was like, I need to get in my session so that I can lose weight, so I can go to Baja Fresh, Chipotle after practice, so I can take care of, so I got to do that. But then I have those bad habits, but I always knew the right answer. And then I went into my sessions now where I have kids who don't like that pressure training, who don't like to sweat a lot. They like to be thinking goalkeeper. So I had to kind of readjust how I ran my sessions. And some goalkeepers who were just like me, who only want to hit the ground and want to dive, but don't want to look at the technical aspects and watch film. So I've had to kind of figure out the proper terminology, the proper way to articulate that message to these young kids who don't see it like me and kids who saw it like me. So now I'm having to play that happy medium right in between both of them, so I can really help the kids who don't know anything about nutrition, help them understand how important it is, and kids who only want to dive, help them understand how important the actual IQ of the game is. So I think balancing those two and understanding what habits were detrimental to my playing career, and how I can really balance those out to make them actual, good points as a coach.
I want to bring this up right now with Gabby here, because I think, it's really cool what you guys have been bringing up. But one of the benefits that you have, Gabby, is that it's not conceptual for you. We actually were talking about this, I think when we were messaging yesterday, is that, the young kids, they can go out and watch you on the weekend. And it's like, it's not just like, hey, this is like, cool, well, here's some tape of me from 5 years ago or type of thing. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, old lady. But they're like, no, come out on Friday night, come out to the game, watch. This is what I was talking about in training today.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a really cool part about this club in general, that there are quite a few of us on the team, the girls team, that are the women's senior team, that are coaching girls teams and like younger players. So in my case, the goalkeepers, so I have girls and boys. But it's cool because you get to have that. Not only can they come and see us in action in terms of like applying what we've been teaching them, but also having that kind of connection, like, oh, I know her, she's my coach. Like, it's that connection within the club as well that kind of creates a sense of belonging that I think is really, really big. And I don't know, always in women's football, you're kind of looking for that plus, looking for that. You always feel like you have to show why you should be invested in, why it's worth it for the club, for the institution to actually think that your team is important, right? I mean, Saskia's smiling because he knows it's unfortunately the truth. So for us, it's like we're kind of adding this or giving this like added value to the club, where it's you're bringing in. It's not just like the juniors are going and they're playing on the weekend and they go home. It's like, no, we're going to come to the club on Friday night. We're going to come to the club on Sunday. We're going to watch our coaches play, and we're going to bring our teammates along, and we're going to bring our parents along, and they're going to be in the space that's more than just a sporting space. It's also a social space, a place to share and to have experiences and to learn and to enjoy a fun weekend of nice weather and and cheer on your club. So I think that's kind of another thing. But yeah, I definitely I think that ability, especially particularly in the goalkeeping position, where it's much easier to kind of pick out and just watch the goalkeeper right during a game, rather than, I mean, maybe if you're coaching a team, it's a bit different. But yeah, saying, oh, well, we worked on that this week. We worked on 1v1s. Let's see how she adjusts to through balls. How does she read where's the starting position? How does she approach? Does she take a quick approach? Does she wait? So like that kind of situations, I think that they can probably learn from. I think the youngest ones, it's more just that feeling of, wow, I know her, she's my coach. But maybe for the older ones, it gives them the opportunity to kind of to learn and observe. I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, Mike. Look, I would go ahead, Omar.
No, I think just to add on to that part, I remember I always have a story for these things, because I remember I was like still trying to play and still trying. No, it's actually it's a quick one. I'll make it the Spark notification.
Hold on. Gabby's got plenty of mate. She's fine. She can go for a while.
No, but I was training this young girl, and she was I think she was more just, I'm tall, I play volleyball, so I'm going to try and play goalkeeper. So she was always just joking around and being silly. So I remember one time when she was at Sharif's team, Mike. So they have shooting clinics twice a week. So I was like, you know what? I want to get some, get back in shape. I want to try and play again, and let's see how my knee feels. So I went to the shooting clinic, which essentially is like 20 shooters and then like 3 goalkeepers. And then every time you get scored on, you rotate out. The shooters go around the 18 and they take different shots. So I was in, and I was completely out of shape. I didn't have the goalkeeper fitness. So I was literally going crazy in the goal. My positioning was all off. And this girl was watching me, and like, the entire time she was looking at me like, Coach, remember when you told me to set? You were still moving. Remember when you told me to step a little bit higher? You're still too deep. And just critiquing the entire session. And I remember driving home, like, I was like, what an embarrassment. Like, I preach all this stuff, goalkeeper fitness and how important it is to get up and then do all this stuff. And then I personally I can't do it. And from then on, that's when I was like, you know what? I got to start getting back in the gym. I mean, I haven't played goalkeeper that often since, but it was just a very embarrassing moment that I don't wish on anybody, but it was still a good reminder that if you preach certain things, you better make sure that even though you're not necessarily being watched all the time, when your training environment is the kids who you train, when they're watching you, make sure you really, really hone in on things you do preach. So yeah, that was my story. And I think kind of different than Gabby's, the young kids were more critiquing than even enjoying me play.
But that's a testament to you, right? Because I think it's one of the things, like that transition from playing to coaching. It's like also when you're learning and teaching, like to teach something, you really have to know something inside out, right? And you actually learn it better as you're teaching. So the fact that she actually had absorbed what you told her, I guess that's positive, right? She was
I mean, she was, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Other Guys? Has anybody ever seen that before?
Other guys? No.
The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and
Will Ferrell. I know the movie you're talking about. I haven't seen it though.
Maybe.
No. Okay, quick. So Mark Wahlberg has an ex-girlfriend, and in the movie, she's like a ballerina or whatever. And so
here comes Omar's Rotten Tomatoes review.
No. So he purposely just to like show her up that he's been listening to her. He like purposely learns how to do like ballroom dancing so that he can like show off to her. And then like in an argument, he uses it, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's actually really good." This is how this girl is that I train. She's more of like, I'm just going to learn all this stuff so that one day when I have the opportunity to show you up, I'm going to show you up. And she did. I mean, it was embarrassing. People were like watching. Other goalkeepers were like, you gave us your card at the beginning of practice. Like, do you want it back? Or like, what? Like, I don't know. It was just, it was a whole mess.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to go. I don't even know where to go.
First of all, when you get to be my age, you don't have to play anymore. They believe you. And the last time I played in that the congressional game in DC, and I played the charity game, and I played with like Kobe Jones and a ton like pro players and like major players, and like Jurgen Sumner was there and stuff, and I like worked my butt off because nobody defends, which is why I never played pickup. And so like,
at least not in goals, no.
No. Like, so I'm like diving all over the place, like totally got MVP. 3 minutes before the end of the game, this 7-foot senator, John Harkes, throws this ball in and it's bouncing, and I come running toward the ball and I'm like, he's not going to stop. So I kind of do a forward kind of like lunge. I punch, he upends me. I dislocate my shoulder, right? It pops out, it pops in. I'm laying down. Now I'm like old, okay? Laying there, and I get back up. I finish the game. Last save of the game, same shoulder, lower right corner. Great save, everything. Totally destroyed, right? Can never really throw again or anything. And Kobe comes up to me and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, he's like, "It's a charity game." He's like, "Get out of the way." He's like, and I'm like, "I can't. I'm a goalkeeper." He's like, and then like Jurgen came up and he's just like, I'm like, "Where the hell were you?" I'm like, "You're the other goalkeeper on my team." He's like, "I wasn't going in." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "You were having a blinder. I'm not going in. I'm not losing the game." And I was like, "Awesome, Jurgen." And like John asked if I was getting paid, and I was just like, and I've never played since. I was like, I'm like, "That's it." Like, drop the mic. I'll walk away on that one. I can't throw anymore. And if my kids ask me to get in goal, I'm like, "No, just know that I know how to do it."
I want to show this right now. Go ahead, Omar.
I mean, I have stories for days. So
yeah, exactly.
No, but I'll say one thing to get us back on track. I played in that tournament, Mike, in Armenia not so long ago, about a year ago, last summer. And I remember it was just like we played 7 games in 7 days. So like our whole team was falling apart, groin injuries, hamstrings, all this stuff. My groin was destroyed. But I remember like I played seven straight games in 7 days, and I was like, I literally touched the ball probably like 80% with my feet, finding passes, getting pass backs, all that stuff. And again, sometimes you have to be put back into those playing scenarios, because I think when you're a player, I think the match nerves, the big games over the weekend, the training sessions, battling for your spot, you can kind of get caught up in the moment without really thinking about the full process of what is this session about? Why is it helping me? Right. All this stuff like that. And then once you actually get back into it, and then you have the full scope of like, okay, I have the experience as a player, but now I have that experience as a coach, and then I'm coming back to touch up my my playing career again. Now you're like, oh my God, well, why am I teaching all this other stuff when like it's literally 90% passing? Like, what am I doing? So well, sometimes you need that.
I think the thing for me as a coach, now I'm always behind my players in the goal.
I heard about that. Yeah, they don't like that.
Like depending on the drill and stuff, like I'll be in the goal behind them or behind the goal behind them, because I need to see the speed of play and everything for myself in a sense. Like, and like, I guess maybe move in my mind, even though I'm not in the goal. So like, what would I do? How would I attack and stuff? So I can kind of critique, because, you know, the game's sped up, the game's different now. And so kind of like, it's like a virtual way of being in there without having to be in there. Let me see this video.
Okay. So I know I've had it queued up right here. So basically, you know, one of the things I wanted to showcase is, you know, Gabby, you were talking about, you know, them seeing you and, you know, being a representation of like, you know, what you're bringing to training and like, you know, what you want out of them. One thing I want to show right here in regards to habits that translate over from playing to being a coach is just that never give up that discipline to stay focused, even when it might not be the cleanest play. So I kind of want to just start right here. So here's that ball box out. Now, you didn't get the cleanest touch to that ball. I think you wanted to play that into a better space in that situation right there. But this is what I really love. The second you got down right there, it's that recovery and also the awareness to know where your back post player was covering that space. But you were firmly focused to make sure that that ball did not go in any situation. And for those of you guys who might not be familiar, the Matildas are one of the best teams in the world. You know, Saskia knows this. She knows all about Australia. And, you know, Gabby, I think things like this, I think for young kids to see things like this, I think is really important, is really important, you know?
Yeah, Yeah, that's one of the things that actually I've been talking about with one of the other goalkeepers that I've been training with here, is never giving up on a ball. That stuck with me from one of my coaches back in the day. That's like, even if a ball's close to the post and you don't dive, or you don't think you're going to get there and you don't dive, you're definitely not going to get there. But if you do, you're at least giving yourself that opportunity to make a big save in case it does actually kind of dip in or surprise you. So that's something that's kind of stuck with me for a long time. I don't even remember which coach told it to me, but I think it might have even been at USF. He probably wasn't even the best goalkeeper coach I've ever had, but that, there
absolutely is true. It's true. It drives me crazy when I see players that, they kind of watch it go by because they think they understand they have their angles perfectly and everything, and then they're surprised if it hits the post off the post wrong or something. And I'm like, follow the ball, finish the save, and that I agree with that 100%. It drives me crazy when keepers do that.
I love this one right here. So you came out for this ball right here.
No, I was gonna say that's like the hard part when I train one-on-one and I train kids by myself. Like, I have a young kid who spills rebounds all the time and literally like gets coffee after he spills it. And I'm just like, bro, you're my third session today. Please don't make me have to go chase that rebound down for you to get like reset, please. But he does. And he makes a save and I'm like sprinting across the field and he's like, oh, you actually can do this. And like, he gets back into position. I'm like, why do I have to be the one sprinting 40 yards? I'm like, dude, I told him, I said, hey, I have about 2 sprints left in me today. It's 12 o'clock. I've been here since 8 a.m. I got two sprints left in me. Please don't make me use them. And that's, yeah. So I mean, sometimes you have to be, put your body at risk to send a message.
Well, so like this is, I love this play right here because you're coming out on this ball. You're pretty high up. You made a play on the ball. You recognize immediately that you need to get back and recover. And it's not where the heck's the ball. It's okay. I'm going to get back in position. And now look at that recovery save. Are you kidding me? Like that could have been a goal right there.
On the first save, did she go high with the ball? Can I see this for a sec? Yeah, go back.
Sure. This play right here?
Yeah. Did she go up? Because you went up, it looked like.
Could be. Yeah, I was bouncing.
Yeah. The thing I like about that is because so many kids today, they come out and they're doing what they think, they're going down first, and here you have to play the ball. Like, where's the ball going, and I love that, it took a bounce up. So you kind of had to go up to come down and stuff like that, where kids, they just run, they come out and they do, whatever they think they're supposed to do instead of really analyzing the situation and what's going on. So I like that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Sometimes the bouncing balls are tricky ones, right? Like, that's something that, so I was like, do I go? Do I stay? And I don't know. Once you make the decision to go, you better get there. So, yeah.
But I think that's one of the things, in regards to like kind of like that, like Gaby, you were talking about, yesterday is like, the game is constantly evolving. And Saskia, you bring this up all the time. The game's evolving. If I coached like I played, it's gonna be a different story.
Well, I didn't say that.
Well,
just kidding.
You know what I mean. What I mean.
It is involved.
If your knowledge,
they can't pass the ball back and pick it up anymore.
Again, you're not that old.
We can wear gloves now. Oh, wait.
No, but yes, the game's evolving, which is why I told you I'm always learning. So, period.
Yeah. I want to say this though. I think that the thing is that one of the things that I think is really beneficial in regards to when you're still playing, Gaby, is that you have an empathy for the kids. And I think Omar, and I don't know, Saskia, how you feel about this, because I think
empathy is long gone, man. Empathy is long gone.
I can't stand kids. Just kidding.
You push my buttons. I mean, if you're the first session on a Saturday, it's great.
I'm like, stop biting him.
I think that's something that I've tried to work.
I coach in the I used to coach in the Palisades, man. I was just looking around for the nannies. I was like, get this kid. It's true.
But I don't know. I mean, for me, it's been something like where I've been trying to work on that and it only came to me, I think, this summer, actually, talking to somebody on the podcast, or maybe listening to one of Omar's webinars, with the fantastic panels that he had this summer, where I recognized, I was like, oh my gosh, I am not I'm not having empathy for the player, not putting myself in their shoes in the situation that they're going through. But you just had a session, Gabby, 2 hours earlier. So for you, it's much easier, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, it happened to me when I was working so I was working at my club and also with the Goalkeeper Academy here. And so Omar, I was like in the same boat as you, like starting at 8 a.m., finishing around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. And I was like, my body, I would have to like lay down on the couch for the rest of the afternoon. Because like one of those hours I would jump in for a session and then I'd get back into coaching. And I was like, holy crap, this session's a lot harder than it looks from when you're on the other side. So I was like, definitely understanding kind of how they're feeling. And I think kind of more so probably in terms of what they feel like before and after a match, probably as well, like going through making mistakes and learning from them, like the stress or the dealing with nerves and things like that before big games, dealing with disappointment if they're not getting minutes, things like that that I still go through. So it's kind of like it makes it, I don't know if it makes it easier, but it could definitely make it maybe more relatable for the kids I'm working with, just being like, look, I've been there. I understand what it's like. You just kind of have to push through it, keep believing in yourself, keep working, be ready for when your chance comes around. But yeah, I think empathy is an important part of being a person in general. I don't know if it's just as a goalkeeper coach. I think that empathy is a big part of
Absolutely.
The way that I try to live my life. So I think that, I think it was Omar or maybe Saskia that mentioned earlier, just bringing about also who you are to coaching. And I think that's part of, I try to have that be part of me. So I guess it would make sense.
Yeah. Saskia has a World Cup. I'll take credit for that.
No, I mean, I found, I'm growing as a coach all the time, and I haven't been doing this forever. And really to see that, like to bring that myself and what I liked, what made me succeed from the coaches that coached me, like what I took from Tony, what I took from Franz, what I took from those guys, and just putting that and bringing my personality into it. Like I didn't realize I was so like chill, but I'm not a yeller like Omar said. And if I do yell, like everybody stops because they're like, oh my God, what's wrong? Saskia's pissed. But that's not how I coach. And so like learning those things about myself as well. I'm still learning that about myself. I mean, I'm 7-8 months into coaching UCLA for the first time, so I'm still learning those things. And, empathy is a big one for sure.
But I go ahead, Omar.
No, I think to kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to ask you a question, Saskia. I think it will turn into a question, but I think you have played at such a high level, right? Obviously, your resume speaks for itself. And then you're training kids at UCLA now, where again, it's very, very specific people who understand the goals and aspirations of people who are going to UCLA, USC, North Carolina, the top schools. What their dreams and aspirations are. So I think it takes somebody who has kind of understood that and understands that path to communicate and articulate certain messages. And I think in macro, not just micro. Think in the sense of like, okay, what if I tell this, this goalkeeper something? I know she's going to probably play at the next level. So how can I bottle it where I'm not completely killing her in this very moment, but building something to create somebody who's going to be able to withstand and have thicker skin throughout the year? Do you feel like, it is a question now, do you feel like you have been able to differentiate the kids that you train away from UCLA, and then how you message that to the girls you train at UCLA now to hopefully give them some piece of information that's going to help them on the building block to go pro or to go to the national camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think the basis of my coaching period is I want them to be able to be self-taught. I don't want to give them the answers to what they're doing wrong. I want them to learn and be able to give me the answers, period. I want them to turn around and be like, my positioning was off, or this or that or the other. And I think that even at the the younger level, all the way up and through, I still want to give that to them. I think that, there are different challenges with, I'm not going to get into a long thing about it. There are different challenges with elite goalkeepers, just like there are different challenges with the kids that are beating their head against a tree. So it's like, it's an experience.
That's a very particular, like,
there was a
head
kid
against the tree. Oh,
oh,
boy.
there was a kid. And so I think that as long as there's a core philosophy that I have, that resonates regardless of your age.
Totally.
Gaby, I got a question for you. Do you feel that there's more pressure for you working with the goalkeepers at your club that you play for than there is with the goalkeepers independently?
Not really.
Because
it's
you play
different.
for the club? Okay.
It's different because the keepers I'm working with are like the community level, so they're not like competitive level goalkeepers. It's kind of like they're all just really new to the game, so which is also a challenge because my experience in the past, the little coaching that I'd done was working with kids that more or less had an idea of what they were doing. Mm-hmm. Now, like starting from the very base with kids that, you know, don't know how to dive, they don't know how to catch properly, they're still learning how to and do you guys call it scoop? The low balls? I just call it low balls.
Well, we had a fun conversation with Emily Boyd from the Chicago Red Stars about this. Remember, would I call it a front smother?
Are you trying going down it or just bending over and picking it up?
Just like a bending over, picking it up.
Not a front smother.
Okay.
No, front smother for me.
Just
I would call it forward dive. We used to call them forward dive.
Yeah, forward dive, front smother, a scoop, pick the damn ball up.
Yeah.
I have my own.
Don't go on your knee.
I have my own language.
Get off your knee. Get off your knees. Stop going on your knees.
Unless you're in Mexico, where Omar knows that you're just supposed to go on your knees.
God. Yeah, that's another time. Anyways.
Who posted that the other? Was it Eric? Einhart posted that the other day. Somebody did posted like why goalkeepers shouldn't go on their knees, but it was like from like the EPL. It was like something happened.
Oh no, from the weekend.
Yeah.
The Spanish league. The Cadiz goalkeeper. Oh no, did you guys see that?
Did he go?
Atletico Madrid.
Is that the clip?
Like he went like onto both knees, and he's normally quite a good keeper, but he just had a horrible, like it was not a good day.
It was a debacle. Thank you for correcting me. I know. See, I watch soccer, you guys.
Omar, was that in your breakdown videos?
And I saw Schmeichel's top and upper corner save too. So.
No, I actually like a few. That's what I'm saying. Things are so just obviously. Like it should make sense when you post them on social media, but people misinterpret it all the time. Like I posted a video about how, Inter Milan takes their goal kicks now where the left center back will stand on the corner of the 6 and play the ball to the goalkeeper in the middle of the goal, just so that they can't force the ball to one side. And I put in my little caption, I said, why are center backs taking goal kicks? And all these people DM me and parents DM me like, oh my God, the players on our team, they always want to take my son's goal kicks or daughter's goal kicks. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the new goalkeeper rule and how you play it to the middle. I don't care. I know your son or daughter can probably kick the ball too. I'm not gonna reach out to the coach and be like, hey guys, yeah. So it's just like some people
literal. They take it.
Oh my God.
You gotta give a complete explanation.
I know.
Can't leave it to other people's brains.
Oh my gosh, Gaby, I don't know about you, but now that you've started your coaching journey, the number one question I get like 8 and 9-year-olds is, can you teach my son or daughter how to take goal kicks? It's like literally the number one. And I'm like, well, first off, you guys have that build out. You have that build out line, so they can't boot the ball up the field anyway. So like, what exactly are you trying to? Do you need me to teach your kid how to strike a ball? Is that what you're saying? Like, because
my favorite is when the field coach tells me to do it. Hey, little Joey can't kick a goal kick. I'm like, and the rest of your team can't cross the ball. I'm like, so maybe you need to start working on some services with your team and not let me take my entire goalkeeper session, which I get them once a week, to teach them something that they should be learning with you when they're with you 3 times a week. Oh, I got it.
But Mike, I think that
I like that response.
Mike, that comes back to your point about empathy earlier on.
True.
I think one of like the biggest things as a young coach, reminding myself that it took me hours and hours and hours of being on the field and repetitions to get that technique hammered in. And sometimes I can feel not pressure, but I post on social media. People in my own head, like people know me as like the coach who is going to get the best out of their keepers. That's pressure I put on myself. And then when I have sessions where the kids don't, I guess, excel, or they take a step back, one session they're great, the next session they're not, I put that a lot of pressure on myself. And I'm like, but realistically, you have to be empathetic to the fact that these kids aren't going to get it the day of, not the next week, not the next week after that. They're going to get it over and over a course of period of time. So for us coaches too, it's like we put so much pressure on ourselves to get how to get the same image of how we look in that moment, when really we're work in progress over time. And we need to give ourselves a little bit more benefit of the doubt to get ourselves and get those kids up to speed, up to that level. So give yourself a little bit more time. And I think that's one thing is for me is like empathetic to the players to get themselves up to speed, but for us as well to continuously don't get discouraged about putting them in that environment because they didn't get it the first time. Keep putting them over and over and over, and they'll figure it out. And I think that's how we were with our goalkeeper coaches.
Wow, so succinct, Omar. No story. I was blown away.
Oh no, I have stories. If you want to hear some more stories, I got.
We're good.
We're gonna have to do a whole 2 hour episode.
We should just interview Omar one day.
No, so I'm gonna tell you the story that I have to go. That I have training. I have training at 4. No, but real fast. 30 seconds. Satya, I guarantee you, you should try this at your next session, UCLA.
Okay.
My goalkeeper coach, I've said this before on the podcast, but it's probably buried somewhere in like past episodes.
I guarantee you'll send it to me tonight.
my goalkeeper coach, he used to tell us, he said, look guys, how many Hispanic goalkeepers are in the Premier League? And we'd say, not many, probably none at all. He's like, and how many Americans are in the Premier League? And we're like, a handful. He's like, well, then you tell me, is it best to put your knee down on a smother, or is it best to keep yourself slightly up so you can have the opportunity to adjust if it takes a bounce? And we're all like, no, I think you're right. I think it's probably the American way, right? And he's like, Omar, do me a favor. Get on both knees real quick. I'm gonna have you chase me on both of your knees around this 18-yard box. If you so much as touch my leg, any part of my body, I will get on the phone as we speak and I'll call every school in the country and I'll get you a full ride to wherever you want to go. Do you want to try that? And I was like, honestly, you know what? There's a lot to win here. Let me try it. And it was the worst thing I could have ever done. It's like that little potato sack that you're doing at like the state fairs or whatever. Yeah, it was like that. And it was just so embarrassing because, I mean, I was very close to getting it, but I never did. But still, sometimes coaches do the craziest things.
I know. I will tell you, because if my girls are watching, I was referring to the younger kids.
Oh.
Yes, the UCLA girls don't put their knees on the ground.
They also probably don't smack their head against trees, but
no, exactly, or bite the other player. I had that problem too.
And the parents of your UCLA players don't contact you asking you to work on the goal kicks.
The little ones. That was a nightmare.
Oh my gosh. Well, Omar, we'll let you get to your session. We'll wrap up with Gaby here. Gaby, you know, one of the fun things that we've been talking about.
Can I say bye? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, if you want. I was trying to give you a simple exit.
You're like shuffling all over the place.
No, sorry. Gaby, nice to meet you. All the best.
Thanks. It was great to chat with you and get to hear back. Keep up. I love the highlights that we do with just the goalkeepers. Like, I think that's the other day. It was what was the match? It was Barca Dinamo Kiev. Like, I watched the highlights that they put together, and of course they left out like 60% of the saves. I was like, this match is just, as a goalkeeper, it was like finally getting to enjoy just a spectacle of goalkeeping.
That's right, guys. I'll tell you this: enjoy it while I'm still single, okay? Because once I find a girlfriend, there's no time for that now.
Wait, what happened? Oh,
I told you what happened.
Oh yeah. Wait, the calorie in, calorie out girl?
No, that was from college, way back in the day.
Okay, never mind. I know the other story. Sorry.
Salty, I'll call you in 20 minutes. All right. I need a good cry before my session. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye,
Omar.
Bye, Omar.
Oh my God. Boy, Gaby, by the way, you just stroked Omar's ego. The fact that you just keep bringing up all
the world right now.
All his clips. He's like.
But it's good because as goalkeepers, when do we get to watch clips that are just the goalkeeper's interventions? Like, I think it's really helpful as a goalkeeper to see.
When I first came on to working with Mike on the show, that's what we used to do. Was that we used to analyze like EPL, we used to focus on the saves, what led up to saves or goals and stuff like that. It was just goalkeeping stuff. And then with coronavirus, we kind of morphed into more of a one-on-one talk show, which I really like too.
I'm really enjoying this. So it's fun.
No,
you had Karen Bardsley on here not too long ago. For me, she's like one of my idols. So it's like when we played them in the World Cup, the first thing I did after the match, can I trade jerseys?
Nice.
I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, she's amazing. A great goalkeeper.
I have Gal's jersey from the final.
Oh.
Because we had the same number. Bryce probably likes the Oscar jersey. But whatever.
Honestly, one of the really cool things, you know, Gabby, about this, and then I'm sure I love how the audience is like multiplied now, and they're gonna come in and it's gonna like start going down. Yep, 3, 2, 1. No, because no, is one of the things is I love is that the fact is that when we actually see all these goalkeepers around the world, like you're in Australia, you know, and you're watching our content and you're listening to our shows or whatever, and you know, it's just such a community, and you know, and it's obviously something where we have something in the works that we're trying to put together. And I think it's one of the reasons why it's so important for us as a goalkeeping community to stick together and to not think one person is higher than another person, and that we can learn from each other. And I think one of the things that Saskia and I have really strived, you know, and Omar as well on the show, is different voices on the show, you know? So it's not always like some EPL goalkeeper or MLS goalkeeper or whatever. We want to share different stories, whether it's a goalkeeper coach down the street, you know, because all of us can learn from each other, you know?
Yeah. So, I think that's cool. I think especially in our position and even from what I've seen in coaching, like it's a position that you have so many expectations placed upon you, but a lot of times they don't give you all the resources or the support that you need to do what you need to do. So I think if we can't support ourselves to do so, like I think that it's hard to expect others who haven't been in the same boat to understand. So yeah, I think that having these sorts of resources and chats are important to hold each other up, and I think goalkeeping has progressed a lot, and like in the women's game, the way that like people are shocked to see how well the female goalkeepers are actually playing, and it's like, well, they get goalkeeper coaching now. Wow, can you imagine what that's like? I mean, there was something I saw on Twitter the other day about the Women's Super League and how great the goalkeeping's been, and like one of the journalists who's been covering women's football for a while, she's like, oh, can you imagine like how they could be much better now that they actually have goalkeeper coaches on the staff? Like, wow, crazy, right?
Go kick in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. It's a position it's complicated, and I think. And
I tell you know, and I used to get on my club coaches or owners for that, because I would get a lot of heat on the weekend, and you'll see this when as you're coaching club and stuff. Like, number one, a lot of the kids that you get that play goal, like you said, it kind of happened to end up playing goal in a sense. Like I started playing because I was like the most athletic, and you know, I was fearless. So put Saskia in goal. So I think that, you know, some of the kids you get in club and stuff are the kids that maybe they're not they don't have the best touch on the ball, like you said, and stuff. Like, okay, well, you know, you're kind of tall. Okay. So here you have these kids that have been playing with their feet for a really long time. And now you're getting a kid that you have to teach how to catch, and you have to teach how to play goalkeeper. And the team is progressing at a different pace because now this person's learning all these new skills, but the coaches can't seem to understand why the goalkeeper isn't at the same level already as the field players. And you're like, maybe because they've been playing goal for a year or not even. And maybe because you only have me training them once a week, and you're training the field players, you know, well, they're in goal when they're training field. No, they're shot stopping. You're putting the kid up there and they still don't know what they're doing, and you're just blasting them into the back of net. That's not playing goal. And so, you know, coaches out there, number one, goalkeeper coaches, stay strong and stand up for yourself. But number two, field player coaches out there, like, hey, put on the brakes for a second. You know, these are kids that are learning a new skill, and that you're taking that. A lot of them were field players and trying to turn them into goalkeepers. Some of them, it's great, and they'll be great goalkeepers, but they're not at this. They have to have time to catch up, and period. Sorry, like how common is it that, I mean, with the elite clubs, yeah, they pick and choose and they bust somebody in, like you said, from an hour and a half away, which your parents didn't want to do. I mean, I used to drive to Long Island from New Jersey to play. So, but not everybody can do that. So, you know, I don't know. It's just everybody's got to slow down a little bit. Stop putting so much heat on goalkeepers.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost, I mean, if you compare like our position, obviously, to the rest, you're not playing a different sport, but almost. Like if you think about like all the different skills that you have to have as a goalkeeper, and then on top of that, now there's the expectation that you're going to have to be as good with your feet as field players.
Yep.
So it's like also coaches, if you're doing like rondos or if you're playing like, keep away, involve the keepers in that.
And I say that all the time. I said
like,
keepers should be in rondos. Absolutely.
It's not the same like receiving a back pass when we're just training goalkeepers when we're like, okay, control pass. It's like, okay, a rondo, you actually get some pressure, and that's a lot more game realistic, and it gives you that confidence of playing under pressure.
Wait, hold on. Yes, sorry, I'm pulling back up our Facebook. But I'm like, and Mike knows I'm a firm believer in sorry. Mike knows I'm a firm believer.
Facebook feed is getting blown up for Saskia right now.
Getting blown up, and I had turned it off because I was going to read something. I'm done on air. But Mike knows that I'm a firm believer that goalkeepers need to be put into pressure situation and into rondos. And also because then your field players become comfortable playing them the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not a second thought. It's like, oh, boom, 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 rondo, 1-2 touch. And you don't even think I'm passing it to Jen or I'm passing it to Kim or something like that. You're just part of it. And so there is no like, well, I don't want to pass it back. She's not that good with her feet. That you don't even think that way. So it's like getting your entire team used to the goalkeeper in that pressure situation. Now, do I want the goalkeepers taking people on that close? No.
I still have... Yeah, I'm more old school in that way. I'm like, if I've got two forwards coming at me, I'm just gonna play it out. Like, why risk? Like,
just pick it out of the upper deck.
Yeah, my job is to not let the ball go in there. So if that means just like playing the ball to the stands, I'm gonna play the ball to the stands. But
yeah, and I think that's an important thing as coaching is like, you can't, like, I'll be like, that was the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. Like, you're under pressure. I get we're playing small-sided or even like semi-small-sided. Would you do that in a game? Like, put the ball into the stand, learn to fight another day, bring your team back on defense. Like, don't do it behind the back and try to go out the other side.
No, man.
You're not impressing me.
No, you're giving me a heart attack. So
yeah, you'll see me over there like this.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm having a stroke. Hold on a second. I'll be all right in a second. Yeah.
So
and then Amanda will look at me, and I'll be like, I didn't teach her that.
I don't know where she learned that from. Watching too many of Omar's videos, I think.
No, we're good. No, I wanted to read the camp before we ended.
Yes. Okay. So before we go, and Gaby, definitely going to plug you right there, and because I think there's a lot of maybe people who might be in the same position as yourself, who they're just finishing up playing, and they've gotten into coaching, and that might be good to bounce some ideas off. But Saskia's got a big announcement first on some camps that are starting up.
Yes, hold on. I was just had it too. Just go for a second. I just wanted to get all the info right. We are doing a. There it is. Okay. So we're doing a virtual camp. Myself and Amanda from UCLA. So field player and goalkeepers. So still time to sign up. It's only for it's 5th through 8th grade, boys and girls. Goalkeepers, field players, like I said, and you can sign up at uclasoccer.com/CSA/ and then it's November 11th, 14th, 18th, and the 21st. So go on and check out the times. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome because, with Corona and with everything, we really haven't been able to, be with the young players and be with the up and comers. And, summer camp is something that I love. And, I'm director of camps for UCLA, and I missed seeing all the kids, and I missed like all the different age groups and all the different levels and just that whole experience of them, being at the school. And, I remember camp when I was a kid. So, we're trying to like do this as best as we can and just reach out to those kids that are probably starving for it as well, that didn't get to go anywhere and are still pseudo on lockdown and have no real sports going on right now. So definitely check it out. We'll also post it on the website and everything. Yeah. It's this Wednesday, so hurry up.
But there's other options.
There are other ones. You can do any one you want, or you can sign up for all 4. So
yeah, we'll get it going. Well, Gaby, where's the best place for people to reach out to you if they want to sign up for the UCLA goalkeeper camp?
Reach out to me. Okay. Well, I live in the future, so the 11th is tomorrow. So hurry up, guys. Get on that.
a good point.
Oh, yeah.
No, where can any of our, if you have anybody wants to check you out on social media and everything?
Oh yeah, Instagram. I think it's just Gaby Garton with one B, so GabyGarton. And then on Twitter, which I use occasionally, it's Gaby, again, GABY_Garton. And yeah, Facebook, I don't really use at all, but if someone needs my email address, usually what I use more for work, but yeah, I would say probably social media is the best bet, I think.
No, we laugh
Instagram,
about that
Twitter.
because like I love, like, Facebook's my favorite thing, and like it's taken Michael's had to like twist my arm to get on Twitter, and like, but my Instagram blew up, so I was excited about that too. I don't have my blue check mark though. Whatever. And
Yeah, how do you not have a blue check mark?
I don't know. They keep denying me. I don't know what the deal is.
Wait, they deny you?
They denied me.
You can literally send medals in the mail back to them. And like, I don't know what else to do you could do to verify that you're Saskia Weber.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to protest it or something.
Angel City's going to have to get involved in that. They should be able to do something about that to verify you. Well, guys, remember, contact at insidethe18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. That's all the time on the best storytelling show. That's at 2 p.m. on Mondays. Inside the 18, guys, and we are out later.
We need like to put music to it.